Hi, Alyssa. My name's Josh. I'm going to be your physical therapist today. How are you feeling today?
Doing all right.
Doing okay?
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me come into your home. I was looking at your chart. You were in the hospital for 5 days for some heart failure. How are you feeling this morning?
I've been better.
You've been better?
Not bad though.
What does that mean? You've been better? Are you tired?
Yeah, I'm just tired and getting over it.
Getting over it. Okay. I also saw that you have diabetes.
Yep.
Are you in control of your diabetes? Where are you at in that?
I think I'm in pretty good control. My blood sugar was 120 this morning.
Okay. Is that normal for you?
Pretty normal.
Pretty normal. Okay. Just going along with that diabetes, are you pretty good about checking your feet, making sure that you're not getting any sores? That's usually the first place that manifests itself is in the bottoms of the feet. They'll start to go numb and tingly, and a lot of people will get sores. It can really complicate healthcare. Are you good at checking those?
I try to remember as much as I can.
Okay. But you're good when you go out at least wearing shoes and in the house wearing socks just to protect those feet?
Yep.
Okay. I also see that we're working on some obesity. How do you work on those issues?
In the hospital, the nurses told me I needed to eat healthier.
Okay.
Get my eating under control. I need to get exercising as soon as possible.
Okay. Well, I will be here to help you with the exercising side. Would you like me to refer you to a nutritionist who can really help dial in that eating?
That would probably be good.
Okay, I have a couple that I really like to work with, so I'll give you their card at the end of our visit so that you can get in contact with them. Your hypertension or your high blood pressure, are you good about taking your meds?
Yes.
Good, okay. Have you had any bouts of dizziness when you stand up or when you exercise? Have you been exercising?
No.
No exercise?
No.
Do you get dizzy if you stand up?
Sometimes.
Sometimes? Okay. So what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? Because I want to help you get there.
My goal is to get back to work as soon as possible.
Okay. What do you do for work?
I'm an accountant.
Okay. Do you spend a lot of time up and moving around, or are you mostly desk bound at work?
Pretty much desk work.
Desk work,
yeah.
Okay. Is it very long of a walk from your car to your desk?
It's not super long.
Okay. Right now, do you feel that walk is achievable? Like, could you do it today?
It would be a strain.
Okay. Okay. That helps me out a ton. I think it's totally achievable to get you to work. We're going to work on getting you actually to an exercise program that will help manage your diabetes, decrease your weight so that you are not in that obesity category, and it'll also help you with your sensitivity to your blood pressure meds so that they're more effective for you and it's easier to manage. First, I want to start off though by getting a couple of vitals from you. So we're going to take your heart rate. So I'll just be feeling on your wrist for 30 seconds. Then we're going to take your O2 saturation, which I have right here. It's just a little clip on your finger. And then we'll be taking your blood pressure. Do you feel good with that? I realized I left my stethoscope in my car. Give me just 1 minute. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay, so first I'm going to take your O2 real quick just while you're resting. So you just let that sit there. While that's going, I'm going to take your heart rate here. Great. Let me write that down here. So I had a heart rate of 92. Is that pretty normal for you?
I think so.
Okay. And your O2 sats looked awesome. They were 96. So no concerns there. So next what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking your blood pressure here. So I'm going to come around to the side of you. Okay. Throw this around your arm here. So I'm just going to occlude the artery here first for just a second to find out how high I need to pump it up. Great. You can just relax your arm right here on mine. Great. And on this patient, Melissa here, I actually measured 110/70. But for our patient, we're saying that their vitals are 132/84. All right, so I'm going to be teaching you and using this throughout our meeting is an RPE scale from 1 to 10. 1 being next to no work and 10 being maximal effort, okay? So I'm going to be asking you that throughout our encounter. And so if I were to ask you right now, at rest where you're at, where would you say you're at?
Like a 2.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to do 2 tests with you today to assess your aerobic capacity. Throughout the tests, I'm going to be asking you about that RPE, and then when you finish with the tests, we're going to be taking those vitals again. So the first test that we're going to do is a 2-minute walk test. So how this test works is I have a 15-meter walkway set up here between the 2 plates. We're going to stand up and go to one end, and I am going to start a timer for 2 minutes. You can walk as slow or as fast as you want. You can even take a rest. The rest just has to be standing. You cannot sit down. I'm going to put a gait belt around you for safety, and I'm going to be there. I will tell you when you're halfway through with the test, but other than that, I'm not going to be giving you any cues. Do you have any questions about the test?
No.
Okay. So let me grab this. Let me clear off our runway here. And if you could just lean forward just a little bit for me. Perfect. And this is going to fit snug, but it shouldn't keep you from breathing. That feel all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's stand up and go over to this first plate here. Okay, so do you see the other plate down there on the end?
Yep.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to start a timer for 2 minutes, and we're going to walk back and forth between these plates to see how far you can go, okay?
Okay.
Ready, set, go. So what I'm doing is I'm walking the patient and I'm guarding them. I'm going to come talk to the camera to explain why I'm doing this test while she does the 2-minute walk test. So the reason that I chose the 2-minute walk test for this patient is that they are generally deconditioned with the heart failure, and I'm anticipating that they're going to have a low aerobic capacity, and this 2-minute walk test will push them, but it won't push them too much. Whereas if I did the 6-minute walk test, I don't think that he would be able to achieve that. It also gives us room for growth, where once he's meeting norms for the 2-minute walk test, or the 2-minute walk test is easy, I can move up into the 6-minute walk test and continue for growth. But I would be doing this guarding my patient and letting them rest as necessary when standing and recording their rest time. So I'm gonna go finish the test. You're halfway through. How are we feeling?
Getting tired.
Okay. And done. Let's go ahead and have a seat. Good job. And right now, where's your RPE at? That's the scale of 1 to 10.
Probably, I'm just getting close to an 8.
To an 8, okay. And then I need to take your heart rate and your O2 and your pressure here. So go ahead and hold on there. Good, and your O2 stats, fantastic. So your O2 actually went up a little bit to 98%. Your heart rate also went up to 98 beats per minute, but that's perfectly normal. Your respiration rates also increased significantly. We increased to 28. That's within normal range. And now I'm going to take your blood pressure real quick. So my patient here in front of me, I saw 0 change in blood pressure. It was the same, but on our patient's case, we saw an increase in blood pressure to 148 over 86, where there was only an increase of 2 in the diastolic blood pressure. That's not of any concern. And where we had an increase of about 16 pounds of mercury in the systolic, again, not concerned because we're not through those thresholds. So our next test that we're going to be doing is a 2-minute step-up test. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the banister here. I'm going to measure from the top of your hip to your knee, and then find the midway mark, and we're going to mark that. Then we're going to march in place, right and left legs. They have to come up to that, your knee has to come up to the mid mark. That'll happen, we'll do it for 2 minutes. You are allowed to hold on to the banister for help. If you don't need it though, don't use it, okay?
Okay.
Do you have any questions about it?
Nope.
I'll cue you if you start to drop below that X. but we gotta keep going above that X. If you drop below the X too many times in a row, the test will be over, okay? So let's go ahead and let's come stand up over here. And so what we're gonna do is we're going to come and we're gonna measure from the top of the hip to the knee. So my distance is right there. And then all I have to do is fold this in half. That gives me my mid mark. So I'm actually I should probably have done it on this hip. Mid mark, half. That gives me my X right here. And let's make sure the camera can see that. Great. So I'm gonna start the timer. You're gonna have 2 minutes where you're marching in place. All right? Ready, set, go. I'll tell you when you are halfway over. So I'm watching to make sure that the patient is clearing the knees with the height of the X and counting the number of steps that they take. I'm gonna go explain to the computer. I'd also be guarding here to make sure that my patient is safe. The reason that I chose the 2-minute step test, similar to the 2-minute walk test, is that I can really test the patient's cardiovascular endurance and capabilities. It lets me also kind of assess lower extremity strength as they're coming against gravity with hip flexors. I have norms that I can compare to, and I can tell the patient how they're doing, and we can see improvement that way. So I'm going to continue to administer this test to see how my patient is improving. All right, you're halfway through. Feel free to go as fast or as slow as you'd like. Three, two, one. Come over and have a seat. And again, where are you at on that RPE scale, the 1 to 10?
Still an 8.
Okay. Let's go ahead and check those O2 stats, and I'm going to check your heart rate while that's going. Great. So we saw your O2 stats hold steady there at 98. Your heart rate again was up at 98. Your respirations were again at 20. None of that concerning. That's normal for pushing it on a test. The RPE up at 8. So a little higher than what we're going to train you at, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. I'm going to take your blood pressure really quick while we still got it. Now my patient in front of me, I saw only only a slight increase in systolic and no increase in diastolic. But again, for our patient in the case, we saw a very small increase in diastolic and a normal increase in systolic. All right, so I want to talk to you about the two findings that we found with those, the 2-minute walk test and the 2-minute step test. So the 2-minute walk test, the designers of the study have gone and they've tested all age ranges, all health, and they find averages for age ranges. So the average for your age, so 60 to 70 or 69, the average is to walk 183 meters in that 2 minutes. You walked 125 meters. So that puts you significantly below average. And basically all that tells us is that we have a lot of room for improvement. You still did really well. You pushed yourself all the way up to an RPE of 8, which I'm really impressed with. Then the 2-minute step test confirmed the same findings. For your age range, this one they break down into a little bit smaller category. 60 to 64, individuals who are 60 to 64 years old stepped between 87 and 115 times in that 2 minutes. Today you stepped 48 times. So again, that just says that we have a little bit lower endurance capabilities than the average male that is your age. So I want to set some goals with you to increase your numbers to where you are up at the 50th percentile, you're up in the average of your age. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah.
And I want you to know that as we approach that 50th percentile, the things that you said walking into your work are going to be very easily accomplished if we can get you up there. This is also going to help with, like we said, that diabetes, your obesity, and your hypertension. In order to get there though, we're going to need to train some. So your resting heart rate, while you were doing your test, I did a little bit of math. So your resting heart rate was 92. Then using your age of 60, we calculate what your maximum heart rate should be. And your maximum heart rate should be around 166 beats per minute. That gives you a range between those two of 74 beats per minute. So if you increased 74 beats per minute, you'd be at your maximum heart rate. So when we're training, we want to train you, we'll get more intense, but right now we're aiming for a 40% of your heart rate reserve for training, between 40 and 50%, which means that we're going to want your heart rate to be between 121 and 129. So I want to teach you how to take your own heart rate. So I want you to find your pulse right here on your wrist. Tell me when you begin to feel that. Okay, you found it? I'm going to find your pulse just up here. And then we're going to look at the clock here. I've got one going on my watch. We're going to count for 30 seconds. Well, let's go 15. We'll go 15 seconds, okay? And count how many beats you get. How many beats did you get?
14.
14. Perfect. I got the same number. So you're going to take that 14 and you're going to multiply that by 4. And that gives you your heart rate, okay? So I want you to be using that when you're exercising on your own, making sure that you're between 121 and 129 beats per minute, okay? You'll get a feel for kind of how hard that feels as you are tracking it. I'll write this information down on a card with the exercises that we're going to do. So the first, what I want to do for exercises for you is a circuit training. So what we're going to do is we're going to exercise for 30 seconds, then we're going to sit down and we're going to rest for a minute. Then we're going to move on to the next exercise, do it for 30 seconds, sit down and rest for a minute. I have four exercises, each for 30 seconds. So that means 3 minutes of rest in between each exercise. And I want you to do it 3 times if possible. Okay? So the first exercise that we're going to do is 30 seconds of sit to stand. So you're going to sit in your chair with your feet in front of you. You can use your hands if you need to, but I want you to bring your nose over your toes and then stand up and then sit down. And we're just going to be doing this for 30 seconds. This is going to help you to really build strong lower extremity and also to increase that endurance capacity, okay? Okay, I'm going to start a timer for 30 seconds. And let's go. We're gonna go through this. Ready, set, go. 30 seconds, sit to stand. And for the sake of time, we're gonna say there's our 30 seconds. And then we'll rest for a minute until that heart rate begins to come back down. You feel like you're at an RPE of 1 or 2 where you're not really working. And then we're going to go to our next exercise, which is 30 seconds of step ups. So I have this stool here, and what you're gonna do is for 30 seconds, you're gonna go left foot up, left foot down, right foot down, right foot up, left foot up. So it's like marching. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Alternating which foot leads. Okay, I'm gonna have you do that for 30 seconds. Ready, set, go. Any questions on this exercise?
No.
Great. For the sake of time, we'll say our 30 seconds is up. Go ahead and have a seat, take your rest. Okay. Then our next exercise that we're gonna be doing is to help you with some upper extremity strength, because you said you're working at a desk. I imagine you're spending a lot of time up here typing. So I want to increase that upper extremity strength. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you this TheraBand to take home, and you can close it in a door in order to elevate it, but today I'm going to be your assistant. So I want you to take a hold of each end, and then you're going to be taking your arms straight and pulling them kind of down and back, okay? To your side, just like that. Perfect. And we're going to do this for 30 seconds as well, okay? You have any questions here?
No.
How does that feel?
Feels good.
Working you pretty good?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
hard.
Good. Okay, so we'll say 30 seconds passed. And then the last exercise that we're going to do is we're going to come over here next to a wall or next to a countertop when you're at home, and we're going to practice a little bit of balance. So I'm going to have you come over next to this banister for now. And what you're going to do is you're going to stand one foot in front of the other on a pillow, and this is going to introduce some instability. So you're going to have to learn how to, your hips are going to have to work, your core is going to have to work to keep you upright and stable. I want you to use the banister until you feel stable. Just place a hand on it, and then you can reduce to a finger, and then to no help if needed, okay?
Okay.
So we're going to do this for 30 seconds at a time, one foot in front of the other. Great. And for the sake of time, we'll say that 30 seconds has passed. Great. Okay, the last thing that I want to talk to you outside of these exercises is a walking program. You said that you're not exercising right now.
Nope.
It's recommended that adults get 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise. So that's the long-term goal for us, is 150 minutes. But right now I want to start smaller because I want you to have success. I want you to feel like you're doing it and you're improving. So what do you think would be a achievable goal for Alyssa in walking right now?
One day?
Yeah. How long do you think you could go for a walk and still be safe?
5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay. Do you think you could do 5 minutes 3 times a week for me?
Yeah.
Okay. So this week we'll do that. We'll set a goal of 5 minutes of walking per day, 3 days a week. And then when I see you next week, we'll see where you're at and we'll bump that up, okay? I have a feeling that you're gonna progress pretty quickly through that. Once we start hitting longer bouts of exercise, that's a good sign that we're really improving that cardiovascular fitness. Do you have any questions for me?
I do not.
Okay, there's a couple different ways that we can change the exercises that I'm going to talk to my teacher about. But I have written down here those heart rates that I want you to aim for when you're doing both your walking program for 5 minutes and your circuit training, and I have those circuits written down here. Okay? Thanks, and I will see you next week.
Thank you.
Okay. So just to adapt exercises, some things that I can do to change. First off, with the 30-second sit to stand, I can adjust the height of the chair. I can adjust the type of surface that they're standing on when they stand up. That will make it either more difficult or more easy. I can raise that chair up to make it easier for them, or I can lower that chair down to make it more difficult. With the 30-second step up test, I can change the height of that step so that we're engaging differently. And we can also increase the time frame that we're doing on all of those. The downward rows, we can change the band to be more difficult. We can also introduce the patient to be standing in order to introduce a little more instability. And then lastly, the standing on foam, we can increase the amount of foam that we have. We can have them close their eyes. We can do several things that will introduce more instability. I anticipate that walking program, though, as long as he is being successful in it and achieving the goal of 5 minutes this week, we should increase that significantly up to the point where he's getting 150 minutes of moderate exercise each week. If this was a normal patient, I would have done a neuro screen, movement screening. I would have listened to his heart sounds, considering he just got done with out of the hospital for heart failure. But in the case, it said that all of those things were normal, so there was no concern there. I would also talk to my patient about talking to their both their primary care physician and their cardiologist, because he's on 2 medications that he's on 2 medications that kind of overlap that are both diuretics, and so that might be a problem there. I would just have him make the primary care physician as well as the cardiologist talk with each other to make sure we're not double prescribing. But that's it. Thanks.